Welcome to another Business Spotlight, where we share reflections, lessons, and pearls of wisdom from local business owners. My name is Kerry James. I'm a business coach and a facilitator. And on this afternoon's Business Spotlight, I'm delighted to welcome founder of Wright Letting Management, Joanne Wright. Good afternoon to you, Jo, and welcome to Business Spotlight.
Good afternoon, Kerry. Nice to be here.
So, first question. Wright Letting Management. There's a reasonable clue in the title of your business there, Jo. But how long have you been in business, please, and what do you specialise in?
Okay, so I set up Wright Letting Management in 2019. Clue is in the name. We do lettings and management for residential properties.
Okay, and is that a whole range of properties? Does it include service accommodation? Does it include apart hotels? What's the typical?
No, so it literally is just private rented residential accommodation. So we've got a range of clients that come to us. We've got some that's just single landlord that's decided they want to dabble in the property market. It's maybe their pension, all the way going up to some clients that have got in excess of 40 properties, and they just don't want to deal with the day-to-day, dealing with the tenants, organising repairs, making sure rent's paid. We then also do tailor-made packages. So if somebody's got a property, they're quite happy to deal with the tenant once they're in there, but they want us to find them, we can do that for them as well.
And in terms of maintenance teams and or cleaning teams, are they contracted to you, or are they employees? How does that work?
So from a maintenance perspective, all of our contractors are self-employed. We try to use small local businesses as much as possible because we find they're a little bit more flexible, from a point of view of working evenings, weekends, the dreaded Christmas day when somebody wakes up and their oven's not working. Can we fix it that day for them or not? But they're on a contract basis, so we instruct them as the jobs come in, and obviously have more than one of each trade because we can't rely on one person being at 10, 15, 20 houses all at the same time.
Okay. And do you have? I guess you have cleaning teams for when the properties change over, or do you not need that in relation?
So we do have cleaners in the unfortunate event that a tenant doesn't return the property in the condition they should.
Right.
But as a general rule, 9 times out of 10, before a tenant vacates a property, we would go inspect it, give them a list of things that we would like them to do to make sure they get their deposit refunded to them. And most tenants will hand the property back as they found it.
And how competitive an arena is it, Jo? You set up in 2019, so
yeah,
not a huge amount of time ago. So how competitive is the marketplace you're in?
So in our area, there's 33 agents.
Really?
In total.
When you say area, Jo, you mean
so we predominantly cover Nantwich, Sandbach and Crewe.
Not a huge area then. There's 33 competitors in that.
Yeah, right. In our area. So we do regularly look where we're ranking on that scale out of 33.
And I'm guessing quite a significant proportion of them are older than Wright Letting Management. Would that be fair?
They are, and well, fortunately for us, I would say, the majority of our competitors are either franchises, so they have big boys in the background paying for all their marketing, all of their legal work, having somebody to go to and ask questions if they've got problems, or larger organisations that maybe aren't nationals but have got more than one office. So we are the largest independent agent in the area.
Well, that was going to be my next question, Jo. In terms of differentiating, I'm imagining when you're a new landlord going to let an agency, you might be very, very tempted to go for the lowest price. So talk us through how you might compete in the marketplace without relying on being the cheapest all the time, which we all know is not a long-term competitive position.
Yeah, no, we're not. I'm going to sit here and say we're not the cheapest. There's probably agents out there that will do it cheaper than us. I think ultimately a landlord will go to the organisation that has the person that they like with. So somebody's property, even if they've got 50 properties, it's one of the largest investments they're going to make. They've bought a property and they're entrusting you to find the right tenant so that you're not moving somebody in there that ultimately is going to destroy their property, somebody that's going to pay the rent on time every month. They then need to trust that the agent is going to manage that, so that if there are problems that aren't tenant related, so your boiler breaks down, the tenant hasn't broken the boiler, are we going to make sure that we get somebody to repair it quickly? Are we going to use contractors that are reliable, that are, cost effective? Or are we going to, every time a tenant phones up, just send somebody out and incur another bill? So I think landlords tend to go with organisations that they trust the people. And certainly for us, word of mouth has been our best form of advertising and helped in building our business, because we are independent, we are very black and white, we are very a spade is a spade. You come in, you're going to get told the truth. It might not be what you want to hear, but you can come in. We've got sofas at the front of the office. You can have coffee, have a chat. It's all quite informal, opposed to going to a larger organisation or a franchise where they've got a certain number of boxes that they've got to tick. They've got no flexibility. They can't change their services because somebody further up the line is telling them what they're allowed to do.
Very good. Okay, so let's move on to kind of the sign of the times and the interesting times we've been through over the last 3 years, and since you've set up your business, Jo, from lockdown to hybrid working, much more home working. I regularly hear on the news how the demand for rental properties is higher than it's ever been. So the digital revolution, etc., etc. So of all those environmental dynamics, if you like, and shifts, which of those have been most influential on your industry, would you say, Jo?
So at the moment, obviously, everybody has heard about the rent reform bill, and as we've just said, there is huge demand for property. So in the rent reform committee this week, they actually said there's a 32% increase on people looking for properties, but a 43% decline in available properties. So that has had a huge impact on how things have changed in the industry, certainly since when I started back in 1998, where for every tenant that you had, you probably had 5 properties that you could show them, and it was very difficult to make sure that those vacant properties were getting tenanted as quickly as possible, because there just wasn't the demand there. Whereas now we have to be very careful which properties we advertise, because we can't cope with the number of inquiries that come through. So it's via email. Obviously, some of the leading portals, Rightmove, Zoopla, they're available to people 24 hours a day. So the inquiries, when you come in the morning, if you've put a new property on before you've closed in the evening, you could have 70 inquiries for one property sat there waiting for you, and then the phones start ringing, and all of those people have to be qualified. So the shortage of properties is, it's quite unique.
Jo, is that driven by the, and I might not be describing or explaining it as well as you can here, but is there a sense that the power is shifted to the tenant? A lot of maybe single property landlords have been cut off. Maybe there's been changes to buy-to-let mortgage arrangements,
No,
etc.
the number of people buying properties is still on the increase. And again, at the committee meeting this week, they did say there hasn't been a decline in the number of landlords that are still investing. Naturally, with everything, some landlords, historic older landlords, because of the changes that are coming in, are deciding that they're wanting to get out of the market and they are selling. People that bought properties historically don't have funding on the properties anymore, so that doesn't really matter from a point of view of interest rates. I just think there seems to be more people choosing to rent rather than to buy, and because it's harder to buy properties, more people are choosing to rent.
Didn't you, if I'm correctly me if I'm wrong here, Jo, but didn't you say that the availability of properties had gone down?
Yeah, for rented accommodation, because people aren't moving either.
Okay.
So because of obviously cost of living as well at the moment, whereas maybe certainly if we use Crewe as an example, a 2-bedroom property in Crewe 4 years ago probably would have been around about £450-500 a month. You're now potentially looking that it's as high as £795 a month. So people that have been in tenancies for a long time, if their landlord hasn't increased the rent every month, and certainly they won't have increased it to that level, they're not going to move, because for them to be able to take that big jump to pay that rent somewhere else, obviously the cost of living increase, people aren't sitting there like they used to 5 years ago saying, oh, let's have a bit more space. They're making do with the smaller property because of the cost of running it. Obviously the rent charges potentially are lower, or they just can't afford to move into the bigger property.
Okay. So apart from the kind of demand supply dynamics being quite changeable, as you've described, Joe, what would you say are the main challenges to your business today, in the context of where you are today and where you're trying to get to? What would you say are the main challenges for you?
I suppose at the moment there's the uncertainty as to what is going to happen with the rent reform bill. They haven't decided which way they're going to take it. Some landlords are sat saying, dependent on what happens, we may sell. Others are wanting to buy properties, but the properties aren't coming onto the market just yet. They don't necessarily want to buy properties that have already got tenants in, because if the law changes, how easy will it be able to get them out? Our main challenge at the moment is stock.
Right. Okay. And what sort of tactics or strategies can you use to build the stock levels?
Obviously, we do our marketing where we encourage landlords to come to us rather than other agents. There has been some movement in the market with people moving from one agent to another. As you said earlier, everybody wants to feel like they're getting the best deal, not necessarily the cheapest price. If they haven't been particularly happy with the service that they've had, tenant decides that they're moving on of their own volition and moving on. At that point, landlords will say, okay, now's the time for us to shop around, see which other agents are available, how much they're going to charge us, what kind of service they feel they're going to get. So it's kind of every day just trying to be the best that you can in the field that we're in.
Excellent. Okay. And so kind of moving on then, Joe, in terms of aspirations for your business, what sort of size and shape is the team today? And if you think, kind of 5 years down the line, how different might that be? Where are you looking to get to?
Depends what day you ask me. So some days I sit here and think I'd just like to still be here in 5 years. That would be nice. Other days I think I want to storm it and take everybody else's business. Um, where we'll be in 5 years' time, if you'd asked me where I thought was going to be in 5 years, 5 years ago, I would never have believed that I would have my own business, that we would have the portfolio that we've got, that I would have the number of people working in the office that I have. Me setting up was kind of thrust upon me because the company I was working for phoned me at 7 o'clock one morning to say, oh, we're really sorry to tell you we're going into administration. So there was no planning. There was no, oh, maybe I'll decide to do that. I kind of was forced into the situation, and I wouldn't have believed I would be here. So 5 years from now could be anywhere, hopefully
Okay.
somewhere good.
So you're 4 years in, is that right? Four.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're into our 5th year now. So it was the 4th of August 2019, I was granted my permission to trade.
Right. So you're over your 4 years. Well done on the roller coaster ride that is business ownership. And
Yeah.
as you may know, I don't want to tempt fate at all, of course, but as you may know, the majority of businesses don't actually reach their fifth birthday. So make sure you have a big celebration when you get there next August.
Yes, we certainly will.
Good stuff. And in relation to, maybe the most important question, particularly given what you've just said about having kind of no choice and setting up your business kind of all of a sudden with no great planning. a lot of the business owners we work with, there's a huge journey from being a specialist expert in house rentals, for example,
Yeah.
to being a business owner with all of the challenges you've got around finance and leadership and sales and marketing and team building, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So if you were starting off again, knowing what you know now, Joe, what are the
Go and
main
get a
lessons
job.
you've learned? Well,
Go work for somebody else.
what advice might he give you to make that journey easier if you're doing it again, do you think, Joe?
I don't think you can make it easier. I think at some point the challenges that you face are going to appear no matter how much planning you put into it, and you just have to keep going.
So resilience is sounds like a key theme. What else do you think you've learnt in your journey as a business owner?
Um, I don't think people realise how many plates you have to juggle all at the same time. And I always thought that I used to work really hard, and until I had my own business, I didn't realise how hard you had to actually work.
What were the new plates you had to start juggling that you didn't think you had to juggle before you became the business owner?
Yeah, so obviously when I initially set up, I was completely on my own. So I did decide to do baby sensible steps. So it's just the sheer number of people that you have to speak to that are all expecting you to be available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Um, and at one point, I would probably say I was working 21 hours a day, 7 days a week, just to be able to keep on top of everything, because you've got the running the business side, you've got the finance side, you've then got the doing the actual job side. As time's gone on, yes, I've built up a team around me, um, but everybody thinks that you're available 24 hours a day.
Mm,
And my phone does ring 24 hours a day.
interesting. Yeah, that's the challenge, isn't it? Building a business that eventually works without you, because it's much more valuable when it doesn't work without you, and
Yeah,
you don't have people ringing you at 2 o'clock in the morning.
yeah.
Very good. Excellent. Well, thank you very much for your time and sharing your journey, Joe. I've got one more last question, if I may. If anybody's interested in picking up a conversation with you
Yeah.
about as a supplier or a landlord or a potential employee, whatever else, what might be a sensible first step?
So obviously, if they wanted to visit our website, we've got our telephone number on there and our email. Ideally, not 2 o'clock in the morning. But yeah, if they want to pop into the office, we're based in Nantwich. The doors are open from 10 till 4 Monday to Friday, 10 till 2 on a Saturday. And anybody in the team always welcomes new clients walking through the door to give them advice, whether they've already got tenants in properties they manage themselves and just need some advice on a problem that they've got, or if they're looking to buy a property and get into the property market. Anybody here is always available to help.
Very good. Well, once again, thanks very much. We'll put the URLs, your website address, together with this video, Joe. Thanks again for your time and your input, and all the very best with Wright Letting and Management.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye for now.
Bye bye.